Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. Oh no, the camera, it doesn't work. What's wrong? What's wrong? Let's fix it. We're gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it. Where's the scenes? I'm gonna fix it. I'm gonna fix it. And there we go. Well, so today might be the third most interesting day ever on this stream. I say the third most interesting day because probably the first most interesting day, at least according to views and number of people watching, has to have been the day that Bitcoin futures went live and we had thousands of people. And then I think the second most interesting day is going to be next Monday when the micro E-mini futures go. But today is interesting because there has been a lot of discussion, let's say, over the Federal Reserve policy. And Donald Trump doesn't like the Federal Reserve policy. He thinks that they've been too tight. They shouldn't have raised in December, which I agree with. They shouldn't have raised in December. But then yesterday, oh my gosh, he tweets something that, oh my gosh. Here's the thing. Donald Trump, he does know something about interest rates. I mean, he was in the real estate business. You have to know something about interest rates if you're in the real estate business. He clearly watches it. He knows that interest rates being low is good for business. But I don't think he knows exactly how they determine if they're going to raise interest rates or lower them and the real effects of that policy, because he says that he would like them to reduce interest rates by a whole percentage point, which is just quite frankly insane. So that's where we're at today. When we look at the price levels here, we're still above 21. So on the charts, you can see here, we've been dancing across this range. Let's just make this full screen. We've been dancing across this range several times. And if you really zoom out, you can see that this has been a really critical area many times. And we're right up at it, right at the resistance. So possibility, maybe we move down to the other side of the range. That's one possibility. Another possibility is we break out and we start moving up. Well, we would have to look at 29.5 first, but then, if it's a really strong move, we could maybe even see, up into the 124 area. So the thing is that there is pressure on the Federal Reserve to keep interest rates lower from the president. So that would mean Treasuries move up. But the equity markets is doing really well. The market right now is pricing in a rate cut possibility, and I just don't think that a rate cut is going to happen, which would tend to be something that would move Treasuries down. And I really don't know how you split that. So here we are. And then today, we did have ADP numbers came out. I'm reading here on TweetDeck that the U.S., who is it? The ADP says that its own payroll number is cooked, is the headline that I'm reading. So I don't know, but it does appear that when the payroll number came out, we moved down. So I don't know, guys. Today is probably, I've never been more uncertain about what a day is going to be like, I think. Anyways, let's pull this over here. Anyways, how are you, Dennis? Yield curve is flattening across the board. And good morning, Uzi. There is definitely flattening. I'm caught between hanging with you and watching the Yellow Vest riot stream. Well, let me tell you what, Uzi. What you can do, I'll show you. What you can do. You can come over here, and there's this thing called tabs. So you can open up a new tab, and then you can even split the tabs up like that. And you can come over here. You can have one can be this channel, and one can be this channel. And there you go. I'm just messing with you, dude. But are there really the Yellow Vest riots really getting that bad today? Because I didn't really see anything about that when I woke up on the Reddits, on the subreddits. Didn't see anything about that. It is surprising that, well, not, I don't want to say surprising, but it's interesting that it's still going. It was just like, you dick. I'm just saying, you can have your cake and eat it too here on this channel. That's all. Donald Trump tweeting, why didn't President Obama do something about Russia in September before the November election when told by the FBI he did nothing and had no intention of doing anything? So this is an interesting thing too, if I could. I was arguing with somebody about this on Reddit the other day, and they're like, no, they did try to do something and the Republicans blocked them. And the thing that he was citing was that Congress did try to pass a resolution that was basically a strongly worded letter to Russia. So consider this, right? Russia's meddling with our election. And Democrats think that the correct course of action in that situation is to send the Russians a strongly worded letter. Really? Really, guys? That's the best you can do? A strongly worded letter? A resolution? Obama was president. He could have written any executive order he wanted. He could have done anything. He could have directed agencies to pursue this, to do things about it, counter it, whatever. He did nothing. What does that tell you? Tells you that they really weren't that concerned about it, and really they shouldn't have been, because the Russian meddling that they did perform was pretty useless. We still don't know where Hillary's emails came from, by the way. The special counsel, they talked about the Democrats Congressional Committee. They got hacked, and they talk about that, but we really don't know where the Hillary emails came from. And that was the thing that really affected the election. So as far as we know, the Russian supposed meddling really didn't have any impact at all. Okay? So what is this really? The Democrats are playing politics with it. And they were playing politics with it as it was happening. They weren't actually, oh no, Russia's doing something, we should probably stop them. No, they thought, oh, this is an opportunity to attack Republicans. So yeah. Anyways, a little rant there. They're on like the 5th month of protests plus May Day protests too, so a nice oh yeah. May Day's always a mess over there in Europe, isn't it? Oh yes, we also have Attorney General William Barr set to testify before a Senate panel over his handling of the Mueller report. The day after a report came out saying that after Barr released his summary, that Mueller sent a letter expressing disappointment about the summary, stating that even though there was nothing false or incorrect, that it failed to capture the context surrounding the investigation. So, kind of sounds like a nothing burger to me, but that could be interesting. I think that Democrats are going to try and trap Barr and do something about that. Okay, we ticked down there to the lows. I mean, the way that we've been playing lately, this could continue, but I just don't want to touch it right now. Because I'm not sure yet. And I'm concerned that any kind of trend that I see is going to end very quickly. there's probably some reason for people to go wrong. Okay. U.S. Treasury quarterly refunding 84 billion to raise 28.6 billion of cash, refund 55.4 billion in maturing securities. Treasury expects to hit debt ceiling sometime in second half of 2019 unless Congress acts. Do we get to have another congressional shutdown? That would be exciting. You know, I'm detecting a little bit of an echo here. Let me fix that. Also, hi, wrong. I don't know if I said that already, but, you know, if I did, I'm saying it a second time. That's a little better. It's like that window. It bounces off the window. It's really weird. Bounces off that window, or it bounces off that door. Need a better door. And need some stuff over there. But I'm probably too particular about it. I think it sounds just fine, doesn't it? Dennis tends to agree with my analysis here about we might see a lot of short-lived trends today, and the historical probabilities, because it's the end of the month, favor longs, but it's hard to say. I don't know. All week I was thinking short, because there's no way that they're going to lower interest rates this year. I shouldn't say that. Right now, it seems to me like it would be crazy for them to give any indication that they are going to lower interest rates this year. So, is that enough to push them down? I don't know. That's where it gets kind of, so I was all thinking all this week, hey, they're going to say, oh, we're probably not going to lower interest rates. So stop pricing that in. Maybe even, we raise interest rates sometime middle of next year if we get the inflation. But then if we just say, oh, we're just going to hold rates where they are for the near foreseeable future, does that move us up or down? See, I don't know where we are on a relative basis. It's hard. Oh, let's make sure that this is over here. No, Long says it sounds good. Yeah. Just so much happening in the news today. Oh, by the way, another thing we should note is that Bitcoin continues to move up today, reaching 5,300. It just doesn't seem natural to me. Something ugly is going to happen over there. Don't say I didn't warn you. Well, they did step down to the low of the day, but they came back pretty quickly. They're like, oh, Seth, you're not going to take it short? Well, then maybe we won't play that one today. And another tick up. Well, I can see that everybody's up bright and early, already hitting 10 people 10 minutes into the stream, so that's always good. I think we're going to have an active market today. This has already been an active market, and I feel a difficult and frustrating market. Kind of, we've had, what was it? Look at this. Okay. Since we've been here, I'll zoom in a little bit. Okay, we're up towards, we came off the bottom all the way up, and then we had a good 4 ticks down, and then a stop run 3 ticks higher, and then 5 ticks down, and then a little move up, probably some stops there again. So we've already gone down and up and back 3 times, and we are only 20 minutes in. This is going to be a day. Let's switch the chart back. So ever since the new version of OBS, I'm able to put the chat there in OBS and just have OBS open, and it's been working really, really well. And then I have Twitter open here. It solved all of my problems. Now I'm thinking, hey, maybe I should get like one of those like extra long monitors instead. Forbes is doing a spotlight on Star Citizen today, the video game that raised 300 million but may be never ready to play. That's interesting. Okay, PV, super new here. That's totally okay because we're all about helping new people get involved. What do the colors on the volume profile on your DOM indicate? The pink, orange, teal, and purple. So are you talking about on the volume profile here? So the pink one is the point of control. That is the price that has the most volume traded at it during the session. And the orange is the volume weighted average price, which is like you take all of the orders together and then, every order that comes through. So you take the price that it came at and how many traded there, and you times them together, and then you sum all of that up, and then you divide that by the total volume, and you get a price that is weighted by the average volume that is traded. So, if more volume trades down here, then this volume weighted average price is going to move down. And if you're not familiar with volume weighted average price, it's really, or VWAP, it's really useful because institutional traders will use this as an indication of whether or not they're getting a good price. So if I'm an institutional investor and I want to buy a ton, then if it's below 22, I'm going to buy it. And if it's above 22, I'm going to sell it. And that way, when I do my buys, I'm buying at better than average price, right? But for traders, it's kind of the exact opposite. If we're below the VWAP, then that means that we're getting some short trend. And so we tend to want to sell. If we're above it, we tend to want to buy. And if we're trading back and forth across it, which we kind of have done today, then it means that the trend is not entirely clear, which is basically where I'm at right now. I don't know what's going to happen. It looks to me like we're in a consolidating range, and I don't want to touch it. Oh, and I guess another thing is that these ones are blue. That means that they are within the value area, which is like you start at the point of control, and then you add away from the point of control until you've added like 70% of the volume or whatever. So these gray ones means that's, outside of the value area. Usually, so if we came up and we got to 22.5, 23, you can see how they stopped it right there. There's going to be resistance there always. Maybe always is a little bit too strong of a term, but you tend to see resistance at that point. Brexit endgame and worse. The cabinet moderates want a deal with Labour, fearing that Boris Johnson would win the leadership if Brexit was still unresolved as the finish the job no deal candidate. Oh, that would be super interesting if that happened. Just think about all of the drama. If so what is his last name again? Johnson. If Mr. Johnson was prime minister right now, it would be so much more fun, don't you think? Like with Prime Minister May in there, it's like, oh my gosh, guys, I'm so sick of this Brexit thing. Just like finish it already. But if it was Johnson, I would be like, oh my gosh, guys, this is so entertaining. You just let this go on forever. Okay, he is familiar with the point of control in the VWAP. There you go. Yep, and you can change it. There's different color schemes in Jigsaw if you want, but the default color scheme that I'm using, that's what they mean. Do we have any news here in the morning other than that ADP, of course? Why is it like this? We have final manufacturing PMI and ISM manufacturing PMI. Construction spending. Well, they're looking for a reading of 52.4 and a previous reading of 52.4. I think that we might be a little bit below that. We might be 51. At least the other PMI numbers yesterday were 51, right? And that 55 in the ISM manufacturing PMI might be a little high. But you might get a small move and then not much happened. Because yesterday, the PMI did not end up being that huge of a deal. And I may be oversimplifying that, but... Zero Hedge pointing out that the EFF is above the IOER by 5 basis points. And this has to do with like the Fed funds rate. He's got an interesting chart there. See right here. Normally, this little line here is between the two dots. But now it is right at it, if not above it. Now it's above it by 5 basis points. That's unusual, something that the Federal Reserve may have to address today. Hmm. Yeah, it's kind of slowed down and gotten quieter, hasn't it? The volume is still short. The volume is still short, but we have not moved lower, so we do have some divergence going on here. Bum, bum, bum. It's interesting. Um, we're going sideways, but uh, the volume is down, and you can see the absorption has been both ways, but more so the buyers are absorbing. So limit orders are absorbing the sells, and that's why the cumulative delta is moving down, but we're still moving sideways. So is that an indication that we're going to move higher later today? That's kind of was what happened yesterday was we'd get some downtrend and they'd absorb and they bought it up. If that is the case, then this is a good place to go long. Hmm. So here's an interesting story on CNBC, talking about China is making a global power play and the US response is coming up short. I'll read the first few paragraphs here for you. Chinese leader Xi Jinping ambition is now clear to reclaim his country's global greatness and establish itself over time as the preeminent economic and political power not only in Asia, but across the world stage. His most significant platform to achieve that has been the Belt and Road Initiative, which, since it was launched in 2013, has resulted in cooperation agreements with 125 countries and 29 international organizations and estimated planned investments at more than 1 trillion. This past week provided insight into something any American president of the past few decades would have told him. World leadership is complicated. It comes with increased costs, responsibilities, and scrutiny from partners who, in Beijing's case, question whether China's historic rise will contribute to a better world or just a more powerful and autocratic China. Well, I think I think that the greatest ally to peace is prosperity. And if Beijing really does become as strong of an economic power as people think that it might. I think that a certain point will come at which it will become impossible for China to keep their population happy, let's say. They're going to want more political freedom. 100%. Because you just can't have that kind of commerce and not have new ideas and people wanting increased freedom and things like that. And, it's almost always the case that when we isolate these regimes, that the regime becomes more authoritarian, right? Because they can. Let's see, what else does they say? She says everything should be done in a transparent way and we should have zero tolerance for corruption. Yay, that's great. Now, the whole thing in the South China Sea, that is. I don't know how that's going to go. I really don't think that we're going to have a war with China, but that's going to have to be resolved. Because fighting over those resources, that's how that stuff happens. A little bit of a gap down there in the E-mini. And we've been sitting down here towards the bottom now for a good 10 minutes. What are they showing here in SFOR swap? They, there's a lot of activity in the market in that particular swap, SOFR versus the federal funds. This is interesting. I hope that we get a lot of discussion about that in the press conference today, because it's a subject that I don't know very much about and looks really important to me, to what we do here in Treasuries. Here's an article from Zero Hedge. With the Fed set to announce its rate decision in under 6 hours, markets are confident that the non-data dependent Fed will cut rates by the end of 2019 despite continued strength in GDP and payrolls, in line with President Trump's demands for a 1% rate cut and or QE, and will provide further tailwind for risk assets. But what if the market, whose discerning capacity has been destroyed by a decade of central planning, is wrong? That's the thesis of Bloomberg macro commentator Garfield Reynolds, who writes overnight that this year's Goldilocks rally in stocks and bonds will likely be derailed by a far more hawkish than expected Fed. This is the argument that I've been making all week. They're not going to. You can't have you can't have stock markets at all-time highs. And frankly, we're here at all-time highs before we've really gotten like the real economic boost out of it. But I mean, the GDP was a lot better than expected. You're just not going to cut rates in that environment. And so at the very least, the Treasury market pricing in a rate decrease seems crazy to me. And today they could come out and put the kibosh on that theory. But the question is, if the market stops factoring in a rate decrease, does that really move us? Because they're not going to be increasing rates anytime soon either, because there is no inflation. There are two sides to this, and I'm not sure which one wins. My gut says down, but I don't really know. All week I've been feeling down, and then I woke up this morning and I looked at where we were at, and I started really going down into the scenario and everything, and I realized I don't actually know. Somebody thinks it's long. I mean, somebody's buying it down here, right? Yep. Rates markets have taken Fed Governor Jerome Powell's dovish inch and mistakenly run a mile. The FOMC isn't likely to deliver any rate cuts in the next year. Yep. And have you noticed that the market overreacts to literally everything that he says? Like, he's trying to be. Here's the problem. He's trying to be as measured as possible in his comments, but the market is all trying to make money off of what the Federal Reserve is going to do. And because when you get trends, they tend to attract more people into the trade that they always overreact. They always overreact. Just like in December, man, his comments in December were so bad. But really, that stock market decline that we saw after he talked was an overreaction. It was really quite silly. It was quite silly. And to see the markets where they're at right now, it was really the case that he was right and he was wrong. He was wrong to raise interest rates, but he was right that things are still pretty good, and then there wasn't a whole lot of reason to be concerned, was there? I gotta remember to wake that. So yesterday, one of the kids did not wake up. So I've got to make sure that they all get up on time. Normally, he's the first one up, so I didn't worry about it. But due to the impact of balance sheet reduction, the effective Fed funds, the EFF rate, has climbed 5 basis points above its supposed policy set ceiling of the interest on excess reserves, IOER. That's potentially a 20% head fake for anyone looking to gauge market expectation for rate moves. Usually, 60% odds at the very least should be needed before investors can bank on a move coming. If we price off the IOER ceiling instead of the rogue EFF levels, odds for a cut this year drop from 67% to just under 50%. That's still too high, a probability given the economic reality, but it at least favors Powell's wait and see rhetoric instead of the perception that one or more cuts are priced. Unfortunately, price stocks and bonds both appear ripe for disappointment from an overly aggressive front-end rates market, potentially setting off fresh volatility spikes. And while they say a stock's meltdown, I'm not so sure about that. But the thing that's weird about it is that you could get both treasuries and equities moving together today, right? If we move down, because the Federal Reserve does come out and is hawkish, then the stock market is probably going to move down a lot too, because it seems like a good portion of this rally has been just because things are so rosy over on the Treasury side. John says May Day holiday will be impacting volume today. Interesting. Didn't realize that. That's interesting. I don't know what to make of that. It does seem, though, that there was a move, and now it's really died down. It's really died down. They still seem reluctant to try and go for the low, but the 5-year did step out there. They really got thrown down out the bottom. Didn't really see that much. Well, there was an iceberg there. How much was that iceberg? 22.48. Donald Trump also tweeting no collusion, no obstruction. Besides, how can you have obstruction when not only was there no collusion, but the bad actions were done by the other side? Greatest con job in the history of American politics. From a political wonk perspective, it's a little disappointing that they're never actually going to impeach Donald Trump. Because if you listen to Mr. Dershowitz, who I think, he's a good lawyer, he knows what he's talking about. He's been right on this issue pretty much the entire way. So if there's anybody that we want to listen to on this, I think it's him. And he claims that you cannot obstruct through legal actions. So because it was legal for the president to fire somebody or whatever, that can't be considered obstruction. And yeah, I don't know if you would actually get into that if he was impeached, because that the decision is they vote on it. But man, it's just going to be this question now that is forever in the American conscious. 30 years from now, our children are going to be arguing over whether or not Donald Trump actually obstructed justice. Lighthouser and Mnuchin have concluded Chinese talks. Or China talks, let's say. Okay. So does that mean there's a deal and we're going to sign it, or what? Maybe they come out later with a press conference? That would be nice. And the Federal Reserve tweeting out the link for YouTube. It's just youtube.com/Federal Reserve, by the way. Well, we have been bouncing off of this support several times now, but each time they've gotten less far. So unless we see a real flood of long volume in here, it's starting to look like there's a really good possibility that they are going to break down and move into yesterday's range. And that could potentially mean a retrace of these single prints. Well, they're not really single prints, but probably back to 16.5 could be where we go if we fall out the bottom. They did step into that volume. You see that right there? So at 19, yes, it was at 19. We traded down, and when we were at 20 and 19.5, they were actually stacking at 19. Yeah. What you got here, John? super difficult market today. I'm glad I have not taken any trades. I have felt no desire to click in to this action for whatever reason. Orange juice futures hit 9-year low. What? Is that a real thing? Or are they joking with me? Taleb. Misspecifying Hayek's arguments. Hayekian arguments for the consolidation of beliefs of higher prices does not lead to prediction markets as discussed in such pieces as 15 or Sunstein's. Prices exist in financial and commercial markets. Prices are not binary bets. Okay. Prediction markets are not commercial markets. So is he saying that a market like Predicted is not actually I don't know. That test of 146.24 yesterday in ZB was a go no go for a breakdown of the recent uptrend ZB has been in. My feeling is we could see a push for higher prices in the ZB today. A test of the 148 handle at least. Yesterday was the 146.24. There's definitely somebody buying it. Sell in May and go away is the old adage, but recent quarterly results have been surprisingly positive, says John. Yep. Uzi says it's too quiet, yes. That bird is too loud. Hold on. Jaylee says dried up volume equals fade the initial move from the Fed meeting and then hide under your desk for the rest of the afternoon. I think dried up volume means you just don't touch it. Especially not at 7:18, 10 minutes before the equity market opens, right? Bird was just screaming because whoever it was that woke up and came downstairs and took the blankets off of him left the room, and they were feeling lonely. Yeah, this is really slow. This right here is about as bad as it gets. And I'm thinking, sometimes on FOMC day, we get really strong trends. And those trends always seem to have a way of predicting the outcome of the meeting. So today, not seeing a strong trend, perhaps that's an indicator that the rest of the market is just as clueless as I am. Yeah, I guess since it's so slow right now, we could. Where's my generate charts? Okay, tick up and a little bit of shuffling around. We get a new, the 29th, it was at 140. So we have pulled back significantly, but price is still going up. Don't know what the deal is with the Bitcoin. Ew, that didn't sound good. My stomach making weird noises. Bird. And just kind of, the treasuries here are just really dead. Okay, well, it's been a really slow move from the low. I did say, oh, this would be a good place to buy. I guess you could have gotten 3 to 4 ticks out of it. Now we're right at both the VWAP and point of control are both at 21.5 now, and we're rotating around it. And the E-mini opens up in 3 minutes. This is just a uh, really slow area, and we'll see what the E-mini does. We do have some numbers um, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Then that could move markets. So let's see what happens. They are, though, those PMIs. So probably going to be a little bit under expectation just based off of the numbers from yesterday. Okay, there's the Patreon notes are up for you guys if you want to go check that out. Another little bit of a move down. So, yeah. Yeah, looks like the meme interwebs slash Reddit are still all up on this. Why is the new Sonic movie so absolutely terrible? Okay, here comes equities. And they're a little tepid on the open too. So a little tepid. They're really tepid on the open. You see this? Here's what they're saying. Look at that. Oops, too big. Yeah, this is the movie, and they're saying this is what he should look like, and it's pretty hard to argue with that. It is kind of like, who is in charge of the effects department out there? They should be fired. Somebody's linking me a YouTube video. I bet it's spam. Oh, it's the bird. No, it's not spam. He's talking about the birds. That's hilarious. Oh, you know what? That just caught me that I still have my speakers on. I need to change it to that. There we go. Well, he is being relatively quiet right now. Well, now that it's 7:30, I think I'll go wake them up. I don't think it takes them an hour to get ready, but you never know. And maybe do Abby's hair. That's one that's up, it sounds like. Because this is just really Terrible, awful, no good action. Mm. It doesn't seem like a lot of political news out yet. I'm sure there's going to be a real firestorm later, though. And there's that rabbit is up making noise now upstairs. Well, we might get a zipper signal here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A zipper signal that might signal short, but I don't think I want to take it. Especially since the volume in the E-mini is so tight. They decided they weren't going to stay in that range and give us a signal and just moved right out. And the equities market is selling. Okay, there's another child. Oh, they're stacking 2000 at 22 now as well. I'm actually seeing the spreads come back too. So it was pretty aggressive flattening, and now it's reversing very aggressively. What's John got here? Oh, we're just pointing out the news. We do have some news here in 15 minutes. There was a bunch of misspelled words in there. Who cares? What about the knob? What's the knob doing? The knob is still going down. Wait, do I have them? I don't know if that's right. Am I? Let's see here. Spread. Front leg is CT. Back leg is ZN. And it's 2-1. I think it's right. Not sure why it's like that. Okay, now they're buying the mini. Treasury is going to react to that. No, that buy in the E-mini was very short-lived, wasn't it? Treasuries still look a little elevated too. All right, well, 3 minutes to the news. See if they pull for this. Well, the equity markets are buying this. That's interesting. Oh my gosh, Todd, that's a really gross sound. Let's see. How much is this from 85 to 55? So about 3,000 contracts long. That's not really a huge deal, but it's enough to possibly move us into a higher range. Maybe back into this 2956 area. Oh no, not this again. Hold on. All right, well, doesn't look like okay, so PMI 52.6 versus 52.4 expected. So the PMI was actually a little bit better. And the equity market looks like it's reacting to it a little bit, but it's still mostly nothingness, I think. I'll fix my volume there. Government agrees to $120 million in emergency loan to bail out British Steel. Yeah, something doesn't sound right to me. Maybe I just need to... Nope. Or maybe that. No. I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. Okay, so that was the PMI, and now we get at the top of the hour the ISM manufacturing PMI, which is expected to be 55. So what is the difference between these numbers? Final manufacturing, a level of diffusion index based on surveyed purchasing managers in the manufacturing industry. Released Monday on the first business day after the month ends. And the ISM one is, well, it's the same kind of description. One is released by Market, and one is released by the Institute for Supply Management. Okay, some absorption happening at 22.5. Hmm. No, you mean he returns back to the lower end of that range, and treasuries are kind of pushing higher a little bit again. Hmm. Well, nothing much it looks like going down. Oh, Ace did go short at 52.75. Hmm. That was before the news. I don't know why I didn't catch that earlier, but yeah, something just doesn't sound right to me on the microphone today, but nobody's complaining, so it must be fine. There it is, big iceberg there. What happened to my pen? Let's get that on here. And that'll keep me occupied. There you go. 4,000 absorbed at 22.5. Isn't that interesting? You know what else is interesting? Pop. And that one. And I guess you could count these two as well. And then there isn't anything on the downside in the bonds until all the way down there. Another thing that's interesting is that there was this order down here, down at the bottom. Kind of, I was saying that that could be a signal to go long in range bound action. It was. Well, wasn't enough for me to take a trade because in this kind of action, it's just bad trading for me, right? But it did move up. But then you can see here, it moved up. Now it's interesting that there was some taking off at 22.5, but that could be profit taking from this. Okay, well they made that 22.5 go offer again. Think they're going to go down and fill that guy at 21.5? Watch live. Attorney General Barr testifies before Senate. Already? Let's see. Watch live. Yes, it is starting. Not quite yet. They are all still like standing and chit-chatting and so forth. So much yawn today, guys. I'm starting to feel sleepy now. Well, let's wake up. It's 6 minutes. 6 minutes to the news. We could draw a picture. What should we draw a picture of? Let's draw a picture of that new Sonic. He looks so terrible. Oh my gosh. No, well, you know what? Now is a good time to do our little. So somebody suggested to me after our little conversation yesterday about are adults in society staying childish longer? And is this a negative thing for our society? Somebody recommended to me a documentary that was on the BBC. It was actually a multi-part series. And Ace took it off and he got 2 points, man. Difficult action, but, in the E-mini. So the thing that's so nice about the way that he trades is that compared to the amount that the E-mini tends to move, he's not asking for a lot. Anyways, it was a series called the Men Who Made Us Buy, I think it was. And it was like, it was talking about how the consumer society of sorts came about. And they specifically were getting into like, have a couple still in, but so boring. Yeah. Well, there's a little bit more volume coming in there in the E-mini. Anyways, they were pointing out that the consumer economy really started to falter when people's income weren't increasing anymore and prices stayed high. And then since then, they mentioned one thing, and then I think probably since this documentary something else has happened, but they were saying that the way that they got out of it was that consumer credit became much more available, and then people could buy things again. I would argue also that in the past, how long has it been? 10 or 20 years or so, that things are just so much cheaper now. I mean, really, you think about what you get in an iPhone, and if they were making similar products in the 80s, it would be so expensive. But they have just brought the manufacturing costs down so much that, people can buy it. But the incomes continue to be flat. Isn't that interesting? But I'm still not sure about this question of, okay, people seem to be interested in stuff like comic books in their adult years, and, way back in the day, that wasn't a thing. But I'm still not convinced. I feel like that guys back then, they still had toys. It was just different kinds of toys. In the 70s, it was like you would always have your guitar. That was your toy, and you would hold on to that till well into your 30s and 40s, right? Now it's movies and comic books. I'm not sure I see a difference there. I've come to the conclusion that these sorts of things like interest rates. I mean, come on, guys, look at this. This is so effing slow. Who watches this? This is so boring. Most boring channel on Twitch, folks. Most boring channel on Twitch. At least today. It's funny because I said this is probably going to be one of the most interesting days. The interesting part is going to come much, much later. But the regular session, oh my gosh. So terrible. Absolutely terrible. Very, very slow. Well, that order there at 21.5 is still there. What are they screaming about now? Acting like somebody put on a hat. You can see it's pulled. It's not nearly as big as it was. And I think they've traded into it a little bit, but they're still stacking a decent amount. Okay, so there was a pull. Okay, and there's another one. So the robots are pulling for this. So that right there, remember that. Because that tells you, okay, that one guy was responsible for all of that liquidity, right? He can literally pull everything that he has at any one price at any time that he wants. That's how much control one person or algorithm can have on the price of treasuries. At least when it's slow. When there's interest, then it gets crazy, and there's so many people trading in there that it's just chaos. But okay, so the news comes out and we are pushed. Whoa, holy crap. That's amazing. What was the number? I've still not seen it yet. Okay, 52.8 versus a 55. My oh my. Well, that's I think that there was some stops right there, man. Because they just blew through some key levels right there. It is probably going to retrace a little bit. That was wild. Yeah, but John says there's the 148 handle test that he was looking for earlier. And the E-mini dropped a little bit. Well, 29.46. Ace sounds happy. And I'm wondering if I should get involved or not. Well, I don't know if I can buy this here at 27. And I don't really want to sell that thing on hopes of a retrace either. So, the E-mini doesn't actually, even though there was a big sell in Delta, the price didn't move that much in CN. Or sorry, ES. So that's curious. Also, the volume in the 10-year, big up, big down. So, actually, some signs that perhaps this retraces. Hmm, 26.5. So the lower end of that range. Higher end being 27. They took someone out there. Yeah. Well, you might that some of that might have just been that, man, we were just so slow and range bound. A lot of pent up, people wanting to do something. And then when it moved, a lot of people jumped on board. Otherwise, why the big buy and then immediately sell back down in the 10-year? But it not doing that in the 30. and or the 5. Well, the 5 is retracing it, but the 30, the volume is still long. Well, I'm not seeing them enough of volume on the offers to really stop them. I don't know, 52.8 versus an expected 55. I did say that the number is likely to be bad just based off of the other similar manufacturing numbers that we got both yesterday and earlier in the month. So, okay, and there is a big stack at 26 I'm just noticing now. Peter is still long. I would think that he's probably get out before FOMC though, right? A very aggressive move up though. And we're seeing the liquidity stack up down here as well. Okay, some absorption in 28.5. Contextually, well, normally I look for that as a long signal. Contextually, we are getting trends, so you could take it as a long signal, but we've seen that signal a couple of times lately and hasn't really been working very well. Seeing that, sure enough, they start hitting into 28. Well, the E-mini did push back down, but it's not. Uh, it's. I mean, we're talking about like 2 points that they moved in the E-mini, 3 points maybe. Then the Treasuries just like moved like crazy. We were at, where were we at? 22, 22 to 28 now. So 6, so 12 ticks up in the 10-year. They all did it evenly too, by the way. It's not, the spread is pretty much where it was before the news. What about Bar? Is he talking yet? Okay, they are. There we go. Can you hear him? Hopefully that's not too loud. It looks like it should be pretty quiet for you guys, so. The ZF is getting some selling. You can't hear it at all? I don't know. You should be hearing Lindsey Graham speaking right now. 27. 27 holding. And there's still some pretty big. These right here. ZB. But this is showing up now. Okay. Yes. Gabe says there's no asset class I'm bearish on except for the dollar. Well, the currency's definitely moved off of that. All of them. British pound, not so much. Did oil move off of that? Oil kind of moved too. And gold moved too. Gold moved up. Interesting. ISM plunges to October 2016 lows as U.S. manufacturers seem skeptical that demand will persist. Dennis says I'm buying some steepeners here. Okay. Did you guys? So can you guys really not hear Lindsay there? Oh man. He just said that it wasn't some 400-pound man somewhere. It was the Russians. Well, now it's 3,000 by 3,000. And that 7K seems to be holding pretty strong so far. It's really, really thickening up, in fact. Lewis Allred, nice spike up on the bonds. Yes, sir. Okay, it pulled. It's not 6,000 anymore. It was 4,000 for a second. Now it's 52. Hmm. You're right. You guys can't hear it. Bum, 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 ba-dum. Maybe I would have to restart OBS for it to work. Because if you look at OBS, see, like it's on there. So if it's showing that, why would it not be going out? Yeah, Graham just dropped an F-bomb. He's animated about this. Well, he dropped an F-bomb. He was reading somebody else's text. Audio. I don't know why you guys can't hear it. Graham's really going off, though. Check volume on the video itself. Well, I have that. Right. But it sounds like it's just not going through at all. So when I come over here, yeah, see, you literally cannot hear it. OBS says that it's sending it out, but it's not. That could be because I changed the audio while we were running. So if I stopped and restarted the stream, then maybe you'd be able to hear it. I don't know. Well, that's all I got, yeah. I'm sure that if we restart it, then it'll fix it. Well, it's coming up here on 20 minutes. I'm not seeing a super clear trade. I mean, I'm tempted to short it, but I mean, that 27 looks really thick. Some guy on YouTube told me about these things called tabs, so I just opened it on another tab. For you guys that don't know what he's talking about, earlier when he was saying I want to watch the French protests, and so I showed him that you can open up 2 YouTube videos at the same time. And I was making fun of him because of that. So now he's hitting back. Okay, well, if you guys can't hear it, I might as well just stop that. So I tell you what, I am going to go and get the kids ready. I am gonna stay home today and work from home. So, oh man, they're yelling. So it is time for me to go in and intervene. But I will be back in about 10-20 minutes. All right. Okay, we're back. We got the kids to school a little bit early, I guess. The 2s and 10s are still flattening. What's with that? That must not be correct. I must not have my 2s and 10s spread set up correctly. Chat disconnected. Successfully reconnected. Okay. See, we did lose a few people as we left there, but that's okay. Diane Feinstein talking to him now. Bum, bum, bum. There's the crude oil inventories too. How did that move them? They're moving down at the moment. Well, they made a little bit of a move up. This 6 is still looking pretty solid. Equities moving down, but not like the end of the world. I suspect that there is a iceberg here. Hmm, 2,000 absorbed? So not quite what I expected as I got filled, but in the 23 and in the 5-year there was a bit of a slip down. Okay, so now they are hitting the 27. There is some size showing up now at 28, but they absorbed at 27. The whole setup is a little unusual. They are leaning on this price though, like I expected. Okay, tick up quite a bit to do it, but they had it. Those offers are looking really thick now.
that we've ticked up. The 5K at 27 did come back, but it's not a ton. They're not stacking a ton at 27.5 yet. Kind of equalized here in the 5-year. Down tick. Not much of a reaction to that either. A little bit of stacking and pulling at 28 there. As the 5-year ticks up and down. Okay, they stacked more on the offer, almost 2,000. Almost 3,000 now as the 5-year hits into 23 a little bit. Okay. A little bit traded into it and they pulled very, very quickly. Ooh. Whoa. Okay. 5K iceberg on it. Five-year didn't try to tick up, but it may yet. Okay, there it tried and it stacked a bit more on. So this is not what we want to be seeing at our price. Okay, they ticked through it. 5-year, 10-year ticked up first. That's interesting. Only 14, 15 stacking on it. Somebody did trade into 28 though. Okay, well, they're not putting much on the bid or the offer now. So I'm just going to scratch this if I can. Yep. Okay. That's fine. Now that I'm out, they can move up. Well, now they're stacking 2,000. That's a little better. E-mini's moving down. They are going to go up now that I'm scratched. Well, we could be filled at 27.5 still and be waiting for a fill at 28.5 that may never come. I think that I did the right thing by getting out. I think that I saw a potential spot. There wasn't as much iceberging there as I thought. There was actually some iceberging against me. And even after that, it was really slow. So that's not very great action. So scratched it. That's fine. Hmm. Hmm. Saying that the coup in Venezuela yesterday failed to take hold. Ron Paul is warning that that's a little crazy. But Ron Paul is saying, hey, you know what? Maybe the CIA is going to kill you now because that's what they need to get a revolution started. It's for you to die because you didn't do a very good job at getting everybody to come out yesterday. Well, 28.5 looks awfully thick. Robot buying that at 28. Let's see, does that fix that? Aha, it does. Cool. It's getting awfully thick above us, and they've absorbed a lot at 28. Always have trouble this time of day, though. That might be somebody that went long is taking profits there at 28. I suspect that's what's happening at least. Well, I'm gonna keep the stream going for another 30 minutes, and then at 11:30, I'm gonna stop it, and then we'll be back for the FOMC. Probably 30 to 15 minutes before the rate decision. We'll come back. We may get another move in these last 30 minutes before the London close. They sure are absorbing a lot of contracts at 28. And they smack it down at 27. And there was some selling across the board there. Was a quite a bit at 27.5 though, and you would have to be getting the sell at 27.5, and there's a 2,500 on there. I don't know if you would get filled. Prime Minister May reluctant to put a date on her deadline to get Brexit done. Yeah, figures. Okay, so they tick back up to 28. And there's a decent amount absorbing there at 28. Decent amount absorbed, but it did go over again. There's some buying there in the 5-year on that, though, too. They may just be stirring the pot to get some spreads filled. Hmm. These areas can really suck you in, even though I typically don't have too great of an edge here. But just it's going back and forth. There's a lot of volume trading on both sides of this. There's a lot of liquidity on both sides of this. Once you get below the, between the 28 and the 27.5, that's where they seem to be balanced at. Cumulative deltas between the different instruments are not in line. So, especially when you get in that they're not in line, that's not a very good trade for a directional trade in the outrights. Maybe you could be going flat. Maybe you could be taking a flattener here, but Dennis added to his oh, he bought some steepeners actually. But it's not really going anywhere yet. Yet. Big if. Oh. Somebody asking me what I use for the screen highlighter. I missed that message, but it's called Epic Pen. It's pretty nice. You can select colors, you can highlight things, you can just straight up draw. It has lines, shapes, an arrow. There you go. Hold shift to draw vertical or horizontal arrows. Oh, there you go. See that? Bim, 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 bim. You can also turn it into a whiteboard like that. That's very nice. Or a blackboard like that. Change the size, erase things, or just clear the whole thing. And there's shortcuts with it too. It's kind of nice. It is there's a free version, and then for some of the things that I liked to use, I did pay for it, but it was only like $10 or something. I thought it was totally worth it. Okay, so we could have stuck with that long. In the long run, I think we could have, but I don't think that this is incredibly great action. You can draw a mustache on your face. Let's see here. How would I do that? I'd have to do it like have to come over here and go properties. Ha. Ha. Make myself a little bigger there. Yeah. And then here, and then we probably would need to use black, right? There you go. I'll draw a mustache like this. Yeah. You think I should change my, do just the handlebar. It could maybe work. Maybe. I could maybe pull it off. It'd be nicer if I had hair. Here. Actually, no, I have blonde hair. Let's see here. And just do yellow. There we go. I had long, beautiful, flowing blonde hair. Huh? Huh? Nice look. Anyways, I made my hair in bad. I miss the hair because see, it's actually about like that, like, and then it comes out a little bit. So it's not like completely gone, you know. And when it's long enough, you can kind of but it just wasn't working. And it was like, there's nothing really interesting that I can do with it right now. I might as well shave it. And you know what else? Shaving is like way less maintenance. Like it's a pain in the butt for me to get in the shower and shave it off once a week. But that's way better than having to go and actually get your hair cut. So, you know, I used to have great hair though. I used to do like the spikes. That. Can find pictures. Let's find some pictures. Distracting ourselves while this moves up, and I want to trade it, and I probably shouldn't be. Photos. Profile pictures. There you go. See, it's still that's it's still about the same actually. It's maybe a little bit less right here, but it's still kind of the same. But you can see, and one of the problems is that the sides. And use the pen here again since we're having so much fun. This area right here, that grows so much faster than this. You know? Like I could just let it grow out and I could have one of those, it could look like that the squib guy in Harry Potter, you know who I'm talking about? Yeah. But I don't think that'd be good. Man, I look so different in that picture there. When I was a youngin'. There's my Facebook. I did create a Facebook page, by the way, for Speculator Seth. Not that there's like a ton on there. But it's there, probably a good way to interact with me if you want to do it on social media. Aside from the Twitter, of course. But ever since I created that page, Facebook is like notifying me incessantly. Hey, we could promote your posts. If you gave us money, we could promote your posts. What's the broadcasting software? OBS. But yeah, I'm not going to pay. I mean, I've paid in the past for Facebook to promote posts, and it definitely works. But the thing that I found was, depending, especially if you didn't limit the geography of it, yeah, you got a lot of views temporarily, but it didn't really result in a whole lot of organic growth because it wasn't targeted enough. It was just spam, and most people just don't click the spam on Facebook. That's how I felt. So, like, I did it to promote music, and it wasn't that great. To really get results, you have to put a lot of money behind it. More than I was willing to put into it. There's still a lot of absorption on these offers. 5,000 now. The liquidity above us has lightened up a little bit, but not a ton. And there is this order way up here at 01. Is it all the way up at 01? How long has that been there for? Well, that one's been there for a while. All this stuff has been there for a while, actually. I'll share now in Twitter. You give me a link. It's interesting, my thing, it tweets out, when I'm going live. And I'll just get random people who will like them. Completely random. Probably bots. Okay, so they got through it. 28.5. Are they gonna sell? Are they gonna buy 29? Like a Dwayne Johnson? Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. That's an interesting subject. So somebody was just talking to me about when you have a room or whatever, um, and you're talking to people. It's like a double-edged sword. Sometimes the talking really helps, and I think that especially when I'm walking through trade like that one that I had there, I was saying, okay, it's doing this. It's not exactly what I wanted. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's bad. And I'm saying, okay, bad. That's that I'm saying more bad things than good things, and it's like, okay, then maybe I should get out. And it helps me focus. It gets the chemicals going that I need to be able to not only stay focused, but kind of perceive in my mind what other participants in the market might be thinking. But then sometimes I will just get going on something and I'll miss an opportunity, or I'm just not very connected to it. It's hard. You cannot have a real conversation and be completely focused. So it's kind of like you always want to have just like light conversation, Never get too serious unless it's a time period that you know that it's not going to do anything. And that's the way that I kind of try and do it, is like that time periods that I know I suck in and that I know that the market tends to not move in. That's when I tend to like go on a rant or whatever, or have an extended discussion with you guys. Mm-hmm. Hmm. See, so the thing that's interesting about this area, two things I'm noticing. First thing is that there is some liquidity down here in the 5 year pushing us up, and the liquidity above us appears to be gone. There's a void up there, And you see a little bit of it in the 10. And in ZB, you're seeing the opposite. Okay, so that's the first thing that I see. But the other thing that I see is when I look in here, okay, now they're at 29. The market orders are pushing through and pushing us up, but none of the liquidity is pulling. They are just taking it. In fact, through here, it's saying, hey, that's relatively bearish. Of course, those last two breaking through and some pulling and everything is bullish, but overall, it kind of looks like we're just really, really range bound and that traders are taking fills in this area. It's hard you don't look at charts at all or the candles. I feel the move better when I look at the candles beside the DOM. Do you look at 5 minutes or 1 minute chart? Well, so I do have these charts over here on my other screen. I don't pay too much attention to them, but if I can point out here, the key things that I'll watch for, this gives me a just another view of cumulative delta that's a little bit further back that I find useful. And then the spread, this right here, that's useful because I can see that overall we're flattening, which is why the 5-year was selling there. Of course, now that we're moving up, the 5-year is really going. Don't you wish we were long at 27.5? No, I think it was too slow. There's no way for me to know that it was going to come up here. Anyways, and then I have this indicator. You see how it's gray from here to here? That was like the overnight session. It's actually, that indicator is actually screwed up, I think, because, yeah, let's refresh it. It should show a blue. There we go. Okay. The blue was the opening range. So this just helps me really well keep track of the levels so I can see, okay. Here we were unable to break the overnight lows. We came back up above the open. The news came out and we had a strong push up. When we came back down, we bounced off of the overnight high. Now we are pushing higher. And so it's just like a reference points for me to remember because you don't remember all of that. And then that's also why I like the one range charts, because now I can remember, okay, it sat here forever. It came down, it came up, and then it sat here forever. And if you were looking at a candlestick, you might not see all of that. But I can remember now when I look at the DOM, okay, yes, we ticked up, we ticked down, whatever it was. So I do still kind of look at charts. But there is nothing about the chart. I don't make a decision based off of the chart or anything. It's just to help me remember. The decision over here is I would prefer to be long unless I see a really big change on the Dom. Like we tick down. If we ticked down and all of this liquidity down here pulled and all of this liquidity up here stacked, then maybe I would take a reversal. And since we had a big iceberg at 28.5, they tend to go through those for two. So I'm expecting, okay, 43 was still a pretty big one, so maybe they can continue. And pretty big bid placed as well. Not in the 5-year, but over here. They're kind of forcing you into buying it, right? Like, are you going to sell that? Probably not. But if you want to buy it, you're not going to get filled there. 33 in front of you? Maybe. But if you do get filled there, then okay. Let's say you got filled there. Now we're in the range thing. It could move back and forth across this a bunch of times. You know, it could move down through this. There, it's kind of an iffy thing. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, I'll put my limit, I'll put my stop in at 30 to buy it at 30 if it goes through." Because if it goes through here, then maybe they're going to continue up and try and take 31. Something like that, right? That trend in the 5-year was actually pretty strong. Anyways, they're kind of making it difficult for you. If you've missed the train that they gave us at 27.5. Lows at the back end holding for now. Now, what about ZT? What has ZT been doing? Okay. Another thing is that when you're having some trend up and then all of a sudden you get a strong downtick like that, that's often a good place to get out. Like they can still go through you, but that means at least one guy is willing to sell there now. Stick his neck out. I mean, if he was just taking a profit, he's just going to sit on the offer and take his profit on the offer, right? But if he sells it down and then stacks a bunch as he sells it down, that's somebody that is taking a position the opposite way. Is Prime Minister May still talking? Maybe let's refresh TweetDeck. Maybe it's not updating. No, I guess she's still just talking. Okay, well, now there's a little bit of absorption going on at 29. And the 5 year is actually coming back pretty quickly. That's funny. So I was talking to somebody else about making a YouTube page. And now I'm like realizing like I don't even know what the steps are that you do to make a YouTube page because it's been so long and I know that they've changed it because it used to be connected to your what was their stupid social network that they created? It used to be connected to that. Now it's changed. Anyways, well, it is 9:30. It looks like the shorts in the 5 year covered. At least that's what it looks like to me. This ain't over. I mean, FOMC, who knows what we do? Man, it could be crazy. If they come out and they are hawkish, this thing is going to be wild. But maybe they come out and they're like, hey, maybe we will. Like, what if they actually did, what if they actually reduced rates in this Fed decision? Then that would be pretty crazy too, but I don't know how high up we would go. But but if they came out and they were hawkish, and I don't know which the probability is that they would do that and if one's more likely or not, but just the fact that we had this huge move up today, if the Federal Reserve was to come out and be really hawkish, that could really move this market. So we could be in for a wild ride this afternoon. But anyways, I'm gonna stop. So I will catch you out. And just as I'm doing that, we get a bunch of people coming in. Oh, Seth's leaving. Let's all join in. But I'm gonna be back just before the FOMC. So at around 11:30 my time, 1:30 Eastern time. Between then and 1:45 is when I'll start to stream back up, and you can keep an eye on my Twitter or the Discord for the link. Tweets it out when it's going, and we'll watch the FOMC. And hopefully, the sound is working then, so that we can listen to the press conference, because the press conference is going to be. I wouldn't trade during the press conference. Anyways, so I will see you guys in a few hours. In the meantime, stay profitable.